allow me to transition because selfishly, I have a good. Oh, speaking of teams who are frustrating, and regardless of how you build your roster or your franchise, you need to make the correct decisions. We see the Guardians and the Tigers are on the upswing. The Guardians have owned this division for the last, I don't know, 20 years essentially. 10, we'll say 10 for sure. Let's talk about the Minnesota Twins for a bit. I'm going to try to not make this as ranty as I want it to be. And just as always, like anyone who listens to Gleeman and the Geek, you understand. You've probably already heard this rant because I'm taking a lot from them. But the Twins did like they do every year. They do like a post mortem. This is how the season went, and there are years where when it goes well, the questions are easy. The owner shows up to answer questions, and then there's years like this year where it really is starting to dawn on me, and this is probably not, and maybe I'm the last one of this group to realize this, but it is really becoming clear of there is a crisis in leadership in Minnesota. And I don't even necessarily mean that they just fired their manager. I mean the front office on up. There are some really concerning signs, and they just did one press conference at the end of the season. So I want to go into that, but I don't want to also rant for the next half hour, even though I certainly could. So I'm just going to kind of go off some bullet points. I'm not going to elaborate unless my three other co-hosts here say like, wait, that is concerning. Let's talk about that. But just know any of these points I'm going to bring up, I could talk about for an awful lot. And then I can sum it up with a bow at the end. But in general, like I said, I'm trying to be this concise. You guys just chirp up when you're like, hey, that makes no sense. So, so they're doing though. I'm going to start off with Baldelli was fired. Regardless of what you think of Rocco Baldelli, he is a manager. I am the type that I don't of the four major sports: basketball, baseball, football, hockey. The manager has the least amount of on-field, in-rink impact. Not saying they're not important. They're certainly important, but they have the least impact for the actual player performance. They collapsed last year, and they had a 90 loss season this year. Managers get fired off of that. But I guess when it was released, I was moderately surprised. Not because I didn't think it would be justified, it's just I didn't think this team would actually make a decision in order for it to in order to fire him. So, but what was kind of odd when they fired him, they sent out this big long press release. And anytime, if anyone wants to follow the Minnesota Twins social media crew, I pity their actual social media class or their crew because they're the literal messengers delivering this from ownership and front office. And it doesn't seem like either of them have a clue of what they're actually sending out. So anyway, they send out this big long press release. And in the middle of it, Derek Falvey, who is the president of baseball and business, is by far the outside of the owner, the most important person in the franchise. He says something, he takes personal responsibility over the team's performance. And therefore, they made a collective decision to fire Rocco Baldelli as manager. Okay.
I take personal responsibility. Therefore, I'm going to fire this other guy.
Yes. And that struck a lot of people weird.
It's an interesting way to word it. I guess what he's trying to say is Baldelli was my hire.
Yes.
Was he Baldelli? Was that the case?
Yes. And Baldelli had been there since 2019. I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, this is when managers get fired. He's been there for a while. They had two horrible seasons back to back. It was justified. The personal responsibility, like you guys are pointing out, is a weird phrasing.
When we talked about this in our Discord group chat earlier when this happened, I referenced the Letterkenny hockey sketch, and I don't know if you guys have seen that or watched that when I sent it. It's a very funny sketch, and it's basically about a hockey team that's doing terrible. And one of the players says someone's got to wear it, and that's usually
Right.
the coach. And they keep going, like they ask this whole question about like the coach, like, you know, doing some unsavory deeds, and he just keeps saying, well, someone's got to wear it, and that's usually the coach. But that's the thing, is someone's got to wear it, and that's usually the coach. The GM can only be fired by one person. The owner can't be fired by anyone. The coach is the guy, he's the fall guy in every situation. So it's like the GM's not going to say, oh, well, this is my fault, and you know, someone else needs to come in, and so I'm going to resign, and we're going to hold on to the man. No, like that's never going to happen. And so he says, oh, well, I take personal responsibility for that. And it's like, one time I was doing something, and we were broadcasting a football game when I was in college, and one of the people who was supposed to be producing it back at the radio station showed up late, and she texted the sports manager, oh, I take full responsibility for the... Yeah, it's your fucking responsibility. Yes. You showed up late. You're the GM for the baseball team, and they had a horrendous collapse last year, and now they trade away all of the players. Of course, it's your responsibility.
Yes. And I think, like, and the manager has, like, the of the front, because you can count them. I think it's reasonable to count the manager as part of the front office. It's the lowest rung of the front office. It certainly has its leg, and obviously, like, the player and all that, but, like, they have such a little role to play in that it's almost laughable that you're going to take personal responsibility while firing the other guy. And like when Falvey was asked to elaborate on this, it came down to, okay, so how do you take, what actions are you taking? If you're going to take personal responsibility for this, what are you doing to take that responsibility? And he basically said, I feel bad that the team feels bad or played bad, and I'm up at night. I believe that.
I feel really bad about it.
Essentially. But like, that's not taking accountability. That's just saying, I feel bad.
That's such an aw-shucks comment.
And like, granted, I'm paraphrasing this, and also keep in mind, whatever answer I'm going to paraphrase for Falvey, he is, I don't want to say a master of corporate speak, but like, it's all corporate BS is what it's going to end up.
It's not even good corporate speak, though. The right corporate speak there is, we're turning over every stone to figure out what we can do better as an organization, so on and so on. So
we're going to take a hard look at our decisions, at what led up to those decisions. Something, not just, I feel really sad when I'm lying in bed at night.
Yes. And all of that can be true. I want you to care about your job because I care about how this team performs too. Don't get me wrong. But like, and you have a bit more investment in that than I do. So then they ask, okay, so like, you're going to be looking for a new manager. What traits are you looking for? And he goes, well, we haven't really discussed that. We're going to go back to the office, and we're going to have a collaborative discussion over what we're looking for.
I think you should have had that before you fired Rocco.
We're gonna
have a meeting about this. Okay, so do you have a list of candidates? Again, this is the question. Do you have a list of candidates? And he was like, well, no, we don't have a list of candidates yet. What do you mean you don't have a list of candidates yet?
I have a list of candidates. Their guy.
Like, anyone. Name a player.
Well, no, that means they're waiting to see who's available.
But not even, you have a short list. And I'm not even telling you, and like, I think the point that I'm making, and the people who have reported on this are making, we're not asking for the names. We're just say, lie to us. Yes,
it comes off like they just made the decision to fire Rocco 5 minutes ago, and they haven't really thought any further than that.
Right. And that's... There's going to be a turn here, people, and I want you to remember
Rangers have already hired their guy. The Angels are already rumors about who's going to be replacing Washington there. You're behind.
Well, also, you don't have traits for a manager?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Of course you have traits. Like, I can list off the traits. I know them. You want a guy that wants players to play hard. You want someone who's going to motivate them. I can list off the traits. You don't know them yet?
It's so
Right.
generic. It's so easy to just make stuff up. I want someone with experience in this league and experience winning in this league. Easy. Done.
Whatever you want, but you know the traits. But don't worry, we're going to make a collaborative effort and we're going to talk about it. Okay, whatever. We're going to get off Baldelli because there were certainly other things that were happening. So Falvey's role just within the organization, he has one of the more powerful positions for a franchise in baseball. He is the president of baseball and business, and there's only like 5 of those dudes around in the sport. So regardless if you think you're doing a good or a bad job, he is a rare commodity in the sport, and he was recently promoted last year off of the collapse, where they then promoted another GM, Jeremy Zoe, who was one of these. They filled it in internal, essentially. So his role, he had a big role, and keep in mind, this is all after the owner said the team is up for sale. So there was a little bit of a question of, why are you promoting this dude who just had a significant collapse? His team just had a significant collapse when you're going to sell the team, when that new owner might just be like, I don't care who you hired. He's gone. I don't care. That's not my guy. But you're going to promote him to one of the more powerful positions in sports. And maybe that was just a transitional thing, and Falvey was going to have the title for a year. The new owner comes here, and Falvey just has something he can put on his resume to say that he did, so he can get another job later. That's all great. Falvey replaced a gentleman named Dave St. Peter, who has been the president of Twins business for like the last 25 years. And frankly, his time was kind of up. We can go into that, but that's another tangent I can go into. So Dave St. Peter was supposed to leave Q1 of this year. And because the sale didn't go through, Dave St. Peter really hasn't been absent. And we're firmly in Q4. Go ahead, Sam.
It feels so gross to be talking about Q1 and Q4 in the arena of fucking sports.
Yes, it is.
In baseball, like, oh yeah, we want to really sign someone to our team in Q1 this year.
Right.
Fuck off, talking about Q1 in
so
baseball.
He was supposed to step down. So after Q1, he was supposed, like, Falvey was supposed to be the guy. So, like, I'm not even saying the Twins said that. So if I made that impression, that's my fault. The point is, the guy who said he was going to step away from the team is still heavily invested in the business sense, which makes you think he probably didn't think he was going to survive a new ownership transition, and he was going to walk away. But when it became clear that the Twins were not going to be up for sale, he just kind of stuck around. So I say all of that to say that they asked Falvey his role. Say, hey, do you think this was your first year as president of baseball and business? Do you feel that you were stretched too thin? Did you do too much this year? And I guess he gave like a nervous little laugh. And then he basically said, I will be happy to do what the Polads and the new ownership group, whatever role they want me to do, I will be happy to fill it.
That's a man who hates his job.
That was also the point too. If that's a guy who has been told 5 different ways that he doesn't know what his future is with this club.
No. That's a man who wants to keep his job and says to his boss, happy to help the team, ready to do anything, gonna just be a team player, ready to be here. That's a man who wants to keep his job.
I agree with both of you, which I know you're kind of making slightly different points, but that is someone saying ownership is on, like, there's been a lot of reading into that, and granted, there's a lot to read into it, but it's basically the ownership is chaos right now. There's no direction from the ownership. So I can't answer that question for you, what my role is, let alone what it's going to be when the new owners come in.
That's my reaction to that. Is that the lines are not delineated here. I'm not sure. Today they're asking me to do something business related. Tomorrow they're asking Mr. St. Peter, I forget his first name.
Yes.
We're at the beck and call of the ownership to do what we're asked to do. The organization is not very organized.
So then they asked So then they move on to, they then ask him, put on your business hat. So not the play, like you are the president of business and baseball. We want that business hat on right now. What are you going to do to get angry fans back reinvested into the team? How are you going to get them to start spending their dollars back into the team? Because the Twins just had the lowest attendance since the 2002 Twins, which was, by the way, the year they were threatened to be contracted in the Metrodome. It's that bad, and it's going to get worse next year. So what are you going to do?
Didn't they have a good year that year? 2002, didn't they?
They
have
did,
a good
yes.
year
It was
year?
Everyone talks about the Moneyball A's, but the 2002 Twins should also have a movie. But well, that's an off-season subject. So
yeah, they went to the ALCS
and they beat
they
beat the Moneyball A's that year. By the way, anyway,
yeah, they did.
So, dang it, Sam, you got me off my tangent.
They had the lowest attendance. That was the year they were going to be contracted.
So, what are you going to do to get, like, on the business side, what are you going to do to get fans inside the stadium? And his answer was, we need to win. And boy, Target Field's good to look at. It's fun to be at, isn't it? Target Field's great.
I am so angry for you. Holy crap.
Okay. Target Field is 15 years old. It's not new. It's halfway through its lease.
What do you mean we need to win? You're not going to win anything.
Well, all right, I skipped this part.
Hey, I will say, my sister went to a game at Target Field a couple weeks ago, and she had a lovely.
It's a great field.
That doesn't like sports.
Oh no, this is my other sister who lives here in Columbia. I got two older sisters.
I should also say, so like during there is a question during the managerial, like when they're talking about Baldelli, so you're going to be interviewing candidates sometime in the next couple of weeks. What are you going to tell them are the expectations for this team next year? Which is another way to say, are you going to suck next year? Like, it's another.
Tell me he said they're going to win. Don't.
No, he said, honestly, I don't want a manager who is just invested in 2026. So, no, we're going to be bad. We know we're going to be bad. Okay, anyway, side tangent, coming back around. So, then all of this question comes around because every year during this press conference, they get asked about the payroll. This is not new to them. They know it's coming. So then they basically ask, so the payroll, where do you expect it to be at? Again, they're not asking for specific numbers. At the start of this year, it was $140 million. And after they cut $20 million out of the payroll, it's about $120 after that, which is less than what it was last year. And again, that's after they did the $30 million pay cut from the year before. They're not asking for specific numbers, but like, give us a direction. Flat, even, high, or higher. And Falvey says, well, I haven't had that. We do that conversation in October with ownership. We haven't had that conversation yet. If you're telling me as the business.
So again, we're going to have a meeting.
If you are the director you are the president of baseball and business, you know right now. Yes, ownership is going to have to tell you if you're going to cut it out, but you have a pretty good idea. Like where the business numbers are. And yes, the poll ads are probably in penny pinching like crunch right now. Mode. But you have a pretty good idea. So that tells me your non-answer is saying it's going to be lower. Like a lot lower. Because if it was going to be higher, you would certainly tell us right now. And then finally,
even the same.
Of all of the pathetic answers, this is the most pathetic answer. Again, we are talking to the president of business and baseball. They ask, do you believe Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan will be on the roster next year? And he gives a long-winded answer. And I will sum it up with, he said, I hope so.
So the answer is no. Probably not. They're looking to trade them.
What do you mean you hope so? You are the president of
You're the guy that decides.
And baseball. You have a projected payroll of $90 million. And that's with Lopez and Ryan on the roster.
And they're under contract.
I mentioned earlier that he gave a very aw shucks answer. That's another very aw shucks. Aw shucks, they're two great players. I hope they're on the team next year.
That's such a stupid answer.
The only person that can perform an action to cause them to not be on the roster is that guy.
It's that guy.
Honestly, Eric, I think the answer is yes, because I hope so. He just doesn't. He can do nothing, and they'll be there.
And I'm glad you said that exact same thing. So now the real answer to what you were saying, there is another person who can force them off the roster, and that's Joe Polad. Yeah. And I think that's to me, that's what Derek Falvey is telegraphing us. He's kind of saying, honestly, my boss doesn't know what the F he is doing, and I need to corner him in a room and like strangle answers out of him, is what yes.
In all of these answers, Falvey could have provided better answers. I do not fault Falvey for his answers, though. It feels to me like he is doing the best he can with a really lousy situation.
Yes.
And yeah, I think he could have answered them better, but I think the crap answers you're getting are heavily because of either an unknown or marching orders he's already been given he doesn't want to share because.
Right. And he's trying to be a shield. He's being a good soldier for his boss. And I can believe all of that, but like honestly, it doesn't make it any easier as a Twins fan going into the next couple of years. Because and this is where I started off saying all of this to say there is a severe lack of leadership in this franchise right now. And I think this press conference revealed another level of rot that is going to show for years to come.
I got one other question. If he came out and he said something along the lines of, look, guys, 2026 is probably going to be rough, but we're working on this, and this. We're working on a plan so that this downtime is going to be mitigated as much as possible. As a fan, how would you feel about that?
Not better, but at least it would be more concrete. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you here's where I will give him credit, because not every team does this, gives this amount of access give that role. He did answer the questions. Granted, he did it just because he didn't give satisfying answers. He should still be given credit for at least being in front of the firing squad, because he had to have known that was going to be rough going into it. So I don't want to criticize him for not doing it. And I feel like the amount of difficulty for his position is incredibly high. He has an owner. It seems like his boss doesn't have a direction for the franchise to go. If he's going to sell the team, not sell the team, they have these independent owners that bring whatever. He's in a tough spot.
Worse than that. I think it's worse than that. It's not that those tools don't exist in ownership. It's that ownership is what's the word I'm looking for? Chaotic. It doesn't unpredictable. So he can't even. Well, in that case, you could say, well, Falvey, you're the president here. This is your vision. Go do what you want. But he can't even do that because he doesn't know if the rug's going to be pulled out from under him.
And chances are next year, when they have a bad year, he's going to be in Rocco's seat, and he might be fired.
Yeah.
In which case, what do you expect him to? And I'm trying not to be. Understand this is everyone knows my position on the ownership of the Twins and my favorability towards them. I'm not a fan of the Polads. Haven't been for some while. And I hope in the last, half hour that I've been talking about this, that I'm not trying to blame everything on ownership, but boy, is it really difficult with the answers he's give and the direction of this franchise, that it doesn't seem to point at the exact top. And it just seems like this team is stuck in atrophy, and there's no way out of it until either they get a direction. And here's what I will say about Falvey. I believe he's doing the best he can. He had players, but he has not made the best roster decisions. The stuff that has been in his control, the building of the roster, he chose not to, even though he had a limitation on payroll, he chose not to trade and make tough trades last year that might have made a better offense, that might have been better. They stayed stagnant for 2 years. And here's what I will tell. If you are a young person in college who is about to go into your career and you have a boss that you get frustrated with, and when you approach them and you say that you're frustrated with them and they give you a long speak of corporate speak that doesn't answer the question, it might be time to start looking for a new job, because your job might get better, but it's probably not going to be because of their decisions. It's going to be it's going to be like a happy accident and it gets better. And that's where I kind of feel this is going. Because his decision to do nothing and to be collaborative, the decision to do nothing is still a decision. And you made it.
Yeah. With the Twins also, and like, this is not meant to be a mean comment, Eric. The Twins have the current longest World Series appearance drought in this division. Like, every team in this division has made the World Series in this century, except for the Twins. And we talked about the Twins going 2002, going to the ALCS. That's the last time they made the ALCS, was 2002. Every team in this division has also made the LCS since 2002.
I'll double down on your point. They had an 0-18 playoff losing streak. And I can tell you as a fan how much that wore on me. Like, I'm happy go lucky. I'm let's enjoy the ride type guy, but like, I've said multiple times on this show that I got emotional that the Twins won a singular playoff game in 2023. And I mean, like, Pablo Lopez showing up in a Johan Santana jersey, and they won a game for the first time since Johan Santana was actually in that jersey. And I can, to actually be emotional over one playoff win and then one playoff series. In the grand, it's pathetic. Like, that is a pathetic level of playoff success. But like, that's all Twins fans have had to hope for. And now you're looking at, in 2025, that this team, who 2 years ago looked like they had so much promise, and they're going to go the way of the White Sox from 2021. I can tell you exactly how White Sox fans felt in 2023 when their team absolutely collapsed and became the worst team in baseball. Because that's kind of where the Twins are headed next year. And if you're going to tell me the Twins are they're slated to have a $90 million payroll next year. And this is after trading Carlos Correa. This is after trading all of those players at the trade deadline. Do I think that they're going to reinvest and get to $120 million, which was the start of last year's payroll? I don't see it. And if they're likely to trade Lopez and Ryan, that's now a $60 million payroll, which will be literally $100 million less than 2023, when they had their most successful season in 2 decades.
And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. It feels like the Twins made the playoffs in 2023. They broke that losing streak, and then they said,
"That's it. Job's done.
Good job, guys. Mission accomplished. We did it. Good job.
Thank you for believing in us.
Again,
we're going to go do nothing now."
Exactly. Now we're going to cut, and we're going to prepare ourselves for the next owner.
Which surprise, we're the next owner. We're not actually we're not going anywhere, mother effers.
Exactly.
To that, I have one other thing.
It's the Leonardo DiCaprio scene in Wolf of Wall Street.
The worst version of that. Go ahead, Dan.
Speaking of cutting payroll and pinching every penny you can, any chance Rocco was just fired so that they can hire some new manager that's going to make a lot less?
No, because they picked up his option.
Okay.
So they picked and I know there was a debate over that, like when they picked it up, because the news broke in like July when they were bad. They picked up that option like before the season started. They haven't officially said that, but
So they're gonna pay for
they said they
command.
picked it up, but they didn't say when the timeline was. They picked it up in spring training, like they always do. They just don't report that. So he's going to get paid like $2 million to sit around. Which good for him. Like I don't blame him. His next year has probably gotten better. What is weird, and then I'll wrap a bow up on this because I've talked for way too long. But like, what is weird is Rocco. I think whatever you feel of his managerial style, he has been like almost begging to have an athletic team that can run, and
Finally
he's
started
never
to see
gotten a
that.
roster to do it. And then the second half of the season, he was like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna run it. I just want it. I just want people to run. Everyone's gonna do it. And I think they literally led the Rangers in stolen bases. They still lost an outrageous amount of games because they had zero bullpen. But like, I would have almost preferred to see like a full year of Rocco with the playing style he would prefer to manage. And it just seems like if it's going to be a lost season anyway, why not just give that to him, kind of thing. But like I said,
He could be
it's
the tank manager.
right.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But they don't have candidates yet, so we'll see what happens. But